All righty, how's it going, everybody? It is
What's up, man?
Tuesday, and you have your Gearheads and Guardians +1. Guess what?
Plus one tonight.
Andy's a veteran, Andy's a doctor, and he's pretty awesome. So, guys, get ready. It's going to be a great show this evening. First and foremost, like we always tell you every episode we do, if you are considering harming yourself or things like that, first let me pause that. But if you're considering hurting yourself, please remember, as we say every week, we care. We need you in the fight. 22 a day is 22 too many. Okay,
That's
we
right.
need you in the fight. We can't do it without you. 988, dial it. Get you some help there. If not, you can always gearheadsandguardians@gmail.com. Send us an email. We'll help you out. We'll point you in the right direction. We were senior non-commissioned officers. That's kind of what we did. We care. We put everybody else in front of ourselves and made sure they were taken care of. So, with that being said, Nitro, go ahead and introduce this young man to us.
Man, we have talked for almost going on 11 months now, 10 months now about we always wanted to look forward and get certain individuals on our podcast to actually answer questions in the live and not hypotheticals from guys like us that aren't not that brilliant. And so tonight we have one of the most important aspects of a person's life is sleep. And we have Dr. Stephen Todd. He is an Army veteran himself. He's also a sleep doctor and specialist, and he is also on the Zilis medical board. And he is here to talk with us tonight about sleep, PTSD. We're going to throw all the questions at him, and specifically for us, we want to talk about R&R and how fascinating that is. Dr. Todd, thank you for being there with us tonight.
Well, Nitro Rocco, thank you both for having me. I'm humbled just to be here and be able to help veterans in some small way. My career in the military was wonderful. I had almost 10 years active duty and served most of the time in Germany. Just to get a little background,
Cool.
where the eastern used to be East-West Germany type thing.
Mhm.
Right.
So I was on the border there. Just as a dental surgeon and anesthesiologist there, just take care of the troops. We had, as you guys know, there was the 3rd Infantry Division there
Yes.
back in the day, and it was
Third ID.
Third ID, baby. What?
You're talking, 20,000-30,000 troops just massed on the border, and all kinds of things happened, and it was a special time to be there, to be able to help them and be able to just react to those issues that went on. I also did some forensic stuff with the military.
Oh, cool.
Just, when we had mass casualty type things,
Right.
we needed IDs and things like that. And then I would participate in those exercises to be able to do some things that had to be done for our troops and to just in that kind of world. So that was an important part of just giving back, I guess you could say.
Sure.
They always it's funny, they always ask for volunteers, and I'd say
You were that guy.
did it because I just didn't want to be the guy in the clinic all the time that just didn't have any of the real world experiences of the military.
Right.
Mhm.
I just wanted to be in the real Army, I guess you could say. And
Sure.
for our, where I'm in Pensacola, Florida, and we're around Navy and Air Force, mostly Navy. And I'm also a volunteer with the Blue Angels on the flight line with those guys. And that's
Wow.
Well, cool.
it's really, we just finished up the season there, and they're out getting ready to do their show now for the air show that goes on here in Pensacola.
Right.
But it's
Mm.
really neat to be around the Blues and to be able to just experience that. And I don't know, I cherished the time that I was in the military, and I know some guys get in and they decide, I'm gonna put my time in and get out. But I didn't ever look at it like that. I look at it as it was a very special time in my life. And I took my family went to Germany with me, and went on the Jenny, you met her. She's the glue.
The glue.
So
Your PR.
went with us.
Right.
What's interesting about that is that when we were over there, one of the briefs we had was survivability. One of the talks we had, it was a very serious talk, was that if there became a war, there would be no survivors. And they made that very clear about bringing your family over there, because we were loaded for bear. I was an NBC officer for nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare weapons, and I had to inspect them, and it was real. It was real, and the threat was real, and but it was also humbling, to just to be a part of American, I guess, would you say power? I don't know. We were going to stop those guys no matter what.
Right.
Yeah, right.
They were not going to have their lunch on our plate. Let's put it that way. This is what happened. And that's, that was pretty neat. I just cherished all that. So, special time. I've got a little bit about myself. I've got 4 children. And I have a 13th grandchild to be born today, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Little boy. We don't quite know yet any
time
now. So, life is exciting with the grandkids and all that. I have a son that lives here in Pensacola with me. He's an endodontist. And I had 3 sons in the service in the military. So all 3 of them were in combat areas, and all 3 were distinguished in their service with the military, in the Army. And my daughter, she didn't serve in the military, but she was part of the whole thing. She traveled with us and all that. But it was quite an experience to to be able to transfer that over. I think many families today, I'm the Blue Angels guys. I'm on there, and there's probably somewhere around 1,000 to 3,000 or 4,000 people that come and watch them practice. And
awesome.
What we do is we just sort of stand in front of them and then tell them which way they're coming and point out what they're doing and things like that. And I always ask the question, well, how many people in this crowd, how many people served with the military? How many people were veterans? And it's fewer and fewer and fewer. You guys know that. It's just, they don't really understand, what it is that you guys did, and what I did, and what other veterans continue to do. But I enjoy immensely being around that, being able to be around the military in that small way, and to just interact with veterans in different ways that way too. It makes me very proud. So
it's and I'm glad one of the things, and I'm glad you said that too, because what's really key to our conversation tonight is not only are we veterans, but you're a veteran yourself, and you're also now on the you've been medical for the longest time, but we can actually ask questions, and you understand where we're coming from when we ask these questions. But you said something also that we notice out here. Chuck and I talk about it all the time, is the lack of veterans that you're seeing less and less of them out and about, right? And on certain events. But when they do come out, right, to me, they seem like they're at that point where they've been through certain medical conditions for so long, and they're ready for either answers or just a way to make their lives better, right? And we see that at the American Legion too. We were at a breast cancer ride for the American Legion riders, right? And there was probably 300 or 400 people there. And out of all those people there, I stood there in the middle of them and said, you guys have no idea how we could help you get through what you're getting through. Because it was very humbling, because those I got to ring the bell still they're now in remission, but their bodies have taken a beating going through that,
Yeah.
and
Now it's time to heal up,
now it's time to heal up, and and those are the people that we want to also reach out to it. So you being in the service, we're going to throw some things at you. You know exactly where we're coming from. So let's go back a little bit. When PTSD became a big thing, right? This was PTSD has been around way longer than the known good things
Oh,
about CBD. Way, 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 way. Right. And when the Iraq War kicked off, you hadn't seen anything PTSD wise or anything war injuries or anything like that since Vietnam. Right. Or even maybe Panama, but I don't even think Panama was really that big of a conflict. Right. So when we and maybe Kuwait. Right. So when we invaded Kuwait, but on the scale that the Iraq War has been, right? PTSD was such a precursor to CBD and the research going into CBD. Give us a little insight on, maybe if you can, where did you, CBD, and PTSD and sleep and in your area kind of merge to go, maybe
This
there's
works.
something here we need to, maybe there's something here we can work on or work with.
Well, it's a really good question. In 2018 was when the laws changed in the United States that allowed us to use CBD and to be able to dispense CBD and also other cannabinoids. And when that law changed, that sort of opened up the door for clinicians. And I was a very early adopter of that. I said, could be a game changer. I said, this could make a difference. And the reason I did and saw that was really not because of Zilis or their technology or anything like that. It was because the endocannabinoid system, the system of receptors that you guys all know about, had never ever been able. We'd never been able to tap into how to make it heal, how to work it, how to make it better. There wasn't any other avenue. There wasn't any other way. And it had always been linked to marijuana or cannabis.
Right.
I refer to that as cannabis, and so, or everything is cannabis, but it had always been hooked up to that stigma. And until that occurred, until that change, that law passed that allowed CBD to be legal in all 50 states, then I think that was the game changer. And it allows me to, as a doctor, to be able to talk to people about it without, any kind of restrictions, I guess you could say.
Right.
Prescriptions are very restrictive in the way that you can, manage them, talk about them, use them. That's what prescriptions are. I mean, I can do that too. So it's the first time in history that we can use a non-prescription technology, a product that has such a broad scope of ability to help people.
Right. Okay.
Like you guys are young, so you don't. But when ibuprofen
Well,
first,
thank you. I like you already.
You are. Guys, I can remember when ibuprofen wasn't even on the market. Okay, and so we didn't have anything other than prescription hydrocodone or prescription. We didn't have anything else in the middle, to help.
Right.
So when ibuprofen first hit the market, which is about 1980, something like that, late 70s, 80s, it was another game changer for me. I went, wow, we have something that we can use that, but we didn't know that it would eat up your stomach and that we didn't know any of that. We didn't know about the side effects. We just knew it was a really good pain reliever. And so then it took a long time from that to CBD coming on the market in 2018. I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah.
From the early 80s.
That's a long time.
Yeah, to 2018, there's nothing in the middle. And so that's when the government finally looked at this with the open eyes and said, this can help people. then that's when I said, well, we need to take notice of this because it is a really big deal to be able to help people with that. And now you have the same thing, guys. You have, some people that say, well, this is cannabis is marijuana and CBD is this and that and all that. And that's normal pushback, from everybody that when something is new, because it's still new. I mean, think about it.
Mhm.
Not far away. You talk from 2000, you're talking 1980 to 2018. There wasn't anything.
Right.
All of a sudden,
40 plus years.
Go ahead.
It's 40 plus years. I mean, that is a long time where
I mean, they're just
you,
guys, I was the doctor in the middle of that writing prescriptions for, I mean, I was a dental surgeon and anesthesiologist that I wrote prescriptions for everything. Anything that you needed, I could write for because I didn't want my patients in pain. One thing, I inflicted a lot of pain. Okay, with my patients.
Sure.
I put them to sleep.
Oh, I know. I was a dental assistant.
Yeah,
I know.
And when I was, and here's another thing, back to the Army. When I was in the military and somebody would get injured in the field, for example, if something happened and we had to go do medevac and do this kind of thing, there wasn't really a lot we could do there. We'd give them morphine, IV morphine, but that was very short term. They couldn't stay on it. And there wasn't anything in the middle to help people. And so we started using ibuprofen and that kind of stuff. And I think that's where CBD is today, guys. It's such a game changer when it comes to helping people that just don't really have any other answers for what they want, for what they need. Maybe they can't get the prescriptions anymore. Maybe they can't get the maybe they got an ulcer because of something. So I don't know. I was an early adopter with that. I just thought it was time to move on it. And even today in this world that I'm in, they still push back with that. So I commend you guys for stepping out here and trying to help veterans. And I go to the VA here too, and there's a lot to say that we can do within the VA system. Now that's that's the largest healthcare system in the world.
Right.
Right.
So I mean, it's not an easy task that you guys are setting out to do, but I commend you for it. It's really.
Well, I'll be honest, Doc. And I hope you don't mind me calling you Doc, but
go
I had a motorcycle accident, and I mean, it was a serious motorcycle accident in 2016. And I mean, I smashed my face, traumatic brain injury, both orbitals were broke, my nose still isn't straight, all my teeth shifted, as you can see. And almost lost my right leg, and I literally flatlined twice. I died twice. And for the love of God, I swear, the docs were, they did what they're supposed to do, and they gave me pain pills after pain pills after pain pills. But, being, 20-year vet, Ranger tabs are those big, what do you call those Motrin 800s? They tore up my stomach. They tore up my stomach. So I can't take a lot of Motrin, Tylenol, ibuprofen, because it messes with my stomach. And, I was in my apartment, by myself, and my buddy kept coming by, and he was my neighbor. Okay. He's a rapper from San Antonio. He kept, so you can imagine. Okay. He would come over and man, I got one here. Just smoke it. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. No. Because I had that same thought, no. So he brought me one day. He came in, and this was after like my 4th surgery on my leg, putting my leg back together. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I laid in bed for about 4 days and just cried. I mean, it hurt that bad. So he came over and he's like, dude, just do it. And finally I did. And it worked. So when Drew was telling me about the lease and the CBD thing, I was like, I'm all in. I know it works. So I started taking the Zilis, and it works. So I have no problem standing behind something that I know for a fact 100% dead to rights, works, I'm there. I'm all in. So my big thing is people with the preconceived notion, oh, that's the devil's lettuce. That's the devil's lettuce. It's horrible stuff. It's no, I'm sorry, but it's not. Okay. Because I used to be that same person.
Sure.
I used to be that guy. No, I will not touch that stuff. It's bad. It's illegal. It's this, it's that. I wouldn't touch it. But after, actually using CBD, I've been on CBD now, what, 3 months, 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say this. I've been on Zilis for 3 or 4 months. I've been on other CBDs, but this one is by far top shelf.
Point there. Yeah. I mean, cut you off a while. Was thinking about that. Zilis's technology is unique in the world. Okay. It's not to be
that it is.
Put in the same context as a CBD oil at a hemp store or something like that. We're talking about an advanced water soluble technology that tastes good, that has huge benefits to work quickly and effectively for people. Now, it's not a miracle drug or anything like that, but the technology to be able to make hemp water soluble and still make it work heretofore hasn't been done. This is the first time it's ever been done this way, and you'll find out if you as you guys grow through this, that you go from one. Let's say you go to a store and they sell hemp, they sell CBD or they sell whatever. If you buy one of it and taste it, because I've done that. Well, first of all, they taste like dirt. And they really do. They taste like the earth.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And
I had to laugh when you said that. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, and then the second thing is the effectiveness of it, the bioavailability of it is very, very limited. And I'm not saying that these other companies haven't produced great products or anything like that, but the point is that Zilis's patented technology to be able to water soluble like this is it's unprecedented, and not only in CBD but also in non-CBD products like Dream. I use Dream a lot in my sleep practice. Half the population can't take CBD because of military, government, or whatever. And so that's why Zilis created a different type of non-hemp product, was for the population that can't do that. But we found that Dream in and by itself is a powerful product for relaxation.
It is very powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's got that GABA molecule in it that just helps people, and you can't, legally you can't give CBD to someone under 18, and you can't say sell it to an under 18 person or anything like that. But we've had people give Dream to their children, and we've had them give CBD to their kids, and they're better.
Yeah,
they're better. Whatever, if they have this disorder, whatever it is, sleeping disorder or anxiety disorder, CBD helps settle them down, and you guys know that from just sharing this with other people. So
you brought up a great point, and Chuck was talking about it, how the chronic pain from the accident, and you get chronic pain from just side effects from taking different medications. Chemos, if you got arthritis and then you got to take chemo, that's literally the chronic pain of it's bad. But when we talk about the brain, as we crack this open, we talk about the brain and the water soluble system that Zilis uses, and the effects that it has on certain type of ailments. And I want to talk real quick about seizures, right? So my girlfriend's son, he was in the Air Force, and he was in the Air Force for 8 years, and he got medically separated because of seizures, and they didn't really have anything for it, right? And he was on medicine, and even on the medicines, like the medicine that they gave him, I don't know what it was, but he still had little seizures. And he had a seizure about 8 months. It's maybe 10 months ago now. He had a seizure, don't remember driving through the light, but he remembers waking up and he was in his car and he had, he could have hurt somebody, so he couldn't drive. And I told my girlfriend, I said, we're gonna buy him a bottle of Ultracell, and we're gonna send it to him. And he took it for 30 days, right? And he hasn't taken any more, but he hasn't had a seizure since.
Interesting.
And really, that's the kind of thing where Chuck and I, first of all, this is what makes us exciting about us as being Zilis ambassadors, having the availability to talk to people like you that actually know the ins and outs. Because when we pose a problem, you can give us those answers so people can go, aha, now maybe it's not what we think it is. And we know it kind of helps us understand what our situation is and how we can not be on all this other crap. And
exactly.
that Zilis technology, that Zilis technology that you keep talking about, that we keep hearing about, is people still, when you say it's water soluble, they're like, you mean water and oil mix? Yeah, they do. You just have to know the right company that can do it. And I've been away from Zilis for some time because I couldn't afford it. I had to go the other route. Didn't do anything for me. I came back to Zilis, and you said the system, right? Getting people to understand, and maybe you can help us relay the message of getting to understand different ailments for different people, but it still does the same thing for every human body, right?
Right.
So when we talk about seizures and we talk about PTSD and we talk about sleep, which we'll get in here shortly, that bioavailability, can you expand on how that is almost the bioavailability and the water soluble technology? How is that the absolute key to making this? I want to say it's a one-off type system. I really do. I think Zilis, and I can say that, and I'm not saying that just because I'm an ambassador and I use it. It's the only thing that has made me live the life that I have lived ever since my stuff has been going on, right? Maybe you can expand on that just a little bit so listeners can go, aha, that makes sense.
Well, let's step back a little bit and talk about the endocannabinoid system that this thing is assisting. The ECS, as it's called, is a system of receptors in your body that is on every cell in your body, and the concentration of endocannabinoid receptors are in brain tissue. That's the concentration, and for both what's called CB1 receptors and CB2. There are three parts to the endocannabinoid system. There's the receptors, then there's the enzymes that break all this down, and then there's the system itself. And so the whole thing is stress. Get back to the stress you guys went through, broke that endocannabinoid system down completely. It can't keep up with that. There's no way. Okay, it manages day-to-day operations just like if we're copacetic. If we're good, if we're
Gotcha.
good,
Okay.
the ECS system will balance itself. It'll keep you that way. It'll keep you calm when the calm isn't a storm. But it's not designed, guys. The stresses we have today are magnified many, many times greater than the endocannabinoid system was ever designed to do its thing. Okay, when you were a hunter gatherer, or let's just take even 150 years ago when you went out hunting or whatever, or took care of your family, you didn't have the kind of stresses coming in with the lights on at 7 o'clock at night, or you didn't have the stresses of, well, I can get in my car and go to the Winn-Dixie or go to the convenience at 10 o'clock at night, because I want to go get something or I want to do something. Or when it got dark,
Right.
And that was it. And then what happened was the electricity went on, and that started shorting out our endocannabinoid system because it wasn't designed to do that. And so here we are 100 years later with high energy stressors that are going on, and your innate system that's designed to handle, just a nice, easy, soft life can't handle it. So
Wow.
when we take CBD, this is why CBD has sort of caught on as far as 18, it's sort of, what is this thing? And everybody bought it and turned and looked at it and started thinking about it a little bit. Is because people feel good when they take it because their endocannabinoid system has been so stressed, and they had no idea. Nobody had any idea. And with the American government knowing all, being all, they just said, well, we're not going to approve anything. And then what finally after 1937, when everything was banned, and they changed the laws in 2018 that opened up the door for CBD. And I think 33 states now allow THC too.
Right.
And I work with patients that need THC, they need CBD, they need different cannabinoids for different reasons. Right. It's not a cookie cutter way to treat people. Let me give you an example of that. So I had a guy that was like almost 80, and he really had a problem sort of coping with his age, as much as he had lost his wife about 2 years earlier. And they've been married a whole, like Jenny and I, just a whole, we've been married 45 years, if I don't get that right. Don't. It's close. But anyway, he was really, really having a problem with coping with that. And so by giving him ultrasound, which is what I first prescribed as far as taking it, and bringing him along, he's now changed in his personality, in his stresses, in his anxiety, and things like that. And you have to find the right dosage. It's not always 2 drops or 3 drops. At least it's concentrated, meaning that it's water soluble, so it doesn't it doesn't really, you say it doesn't take a lot, but sometimes it's just not quite enough. 2 or 3 drops. Sometimes you got to go 5. Sometimes you got to go a whole dropper. And then the next thing people say is, well, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Well, what price do you pay for your health?
Health. Correct.
What price is there for that? I mean, is that are you saying that I would rather? Let me give you another good example. So I had a guy, and I know everybody likes guns. I like guns, but I don't have. I used to have them. I don't have them anymore. But my point is, I had a guy once that had major PTSD, and he was an expert in firearms. I mean, he knew his stuff. And so I said, well, I think this technology can help you decompress and stress and all that. But his interest was not in what I was talking about with sleep and all that. His interest was in guns. And he said, I'm not going to spend the money on that. And he walked out and he bought himself a state-of-the-art another gun. He has a whole house full of guns. My point is that everybody has a different priority,
right.
And you got to meet them on that priority. I don't want to. But however, he really, really could have used this technology,
Right.
Zilis, guys, is a technology. It's not a CBD like you're used to hearing about. It's not a dream. It's not a water soluble. It's not a melatonin that you're used to hearing about. It's truly a technology.
And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people, if we go back to the stigma, the stigma, because of the euphoria, because that is the instant I feel this, and they're like, that's how I know it's doing something for me, right? And we try to tell people all the time. In fact, I had to tell one of our veterans over at the American Legion. The question was, how long does it take for it to work? And I'm like, well, it works the minute you take it. You're not going to feel. While we're talking about this real quick, tell me if I'm wrong, Doc, but I tell people it's not what you feel, it's when you realize what you don't feel.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly
right. Right. So Joseph, my girlfriend's son, not having a seizure, right? He probably, and he said he slept the best that he slept in years. how how can I ask this? So it is okay to say, listen, this is not your wonder drug, wonder pill, wonder dropper. It's not that. What this is a system designed to work naturally for your human body to relieve the receptor craziness that's going on, right? How would you put it in a context to make people understand, to go, okay, now that makes sense to me, because um, like Adele, she's one of our you can't see her in the chat, but she's in Australia, and she says she shakes and she has anxiety, but the anxiety makes her shaking a lot worse. And uh, she says this makes absolute sense now, what you're talking about. How do we tell people, like, every day, when they say, man, I got to go take my pills, and be like, why? Listen, we can help you do it where you don't have to take all this crap, but try to explain why, instead of telling them
Okay.
it's just not you're not going to get a euphoria from it. So, but don't sit there and think it's not working. You
Well,
know what I mean? Because
let's
yeah.
explain the euphoria thing, because I think the understanding the euphoric effect of cannabinoids, THC particularly, and CBN, like
Hmm.
R&R, CBN.
Hmm.
What's the difference? Why is CBD? You think about that. This is a plant that has over 400 different compounds in it and over 100 different cannabinoids, and we don't even, and some of them they're still extracting and figuring out what they are and what they do. And so, but here's what happens. We didn't create the hemp plant. We have an endocannabinoid system in our body that's always been there. I mean, it's there all the time. And so we, as people, we have an ECS, or this system of receptors in the brain, in the gut, in every cell. And we didn't create hemp to just, I mean, it's God's way to just provide this for us. But
Hmm.
we've always had a endocannabinoid system. And what happens is that in the brain, guys, there's more CB1 receptors than anywhere. That in the brain, and the brain is concentrated with them to help the brain clean itself at night when you're asleep, to be able to help the brain operate better for the next day. And there's actually, what's called uh, growth of neurons in the brain that occur with CBD. There's what's called neuroplasticity. There's brain tissue growth, brain cellular growth.
Hmm.
And that we used to think, because I'm that the once you get 18, the brain just, it doesn't grow anymore, it doesn't change anymore. And so
Right.
now we know that's not true. So the ability to be able to enhance our endocannabinoid system, be able to facilitate it, to be able to help it along, is a big deal. It's a really big deal.
Right.
But now you can't just take any CBD. You just really, I mean, I say that, but you can't. You can,
Yeah.
but they're not going to get a lot out of it. Some people say, well, it
Yeah.
doesn't work, and they're right. It doesn't work. So a lot of times, but Zilis has the technology. They have the wherewithal to be able to put this in that format, that water soluble format, that works very, very well. Now, everybody has to dose according to their need.
Right.
And people can feel effects. Nitro people, I've had people, dose maybe 2 drops, and then they don't feel anything. Then they'll take 5, and they'll go, oh, yeah, I feel better, I feel more relaxed. And what it's doing is the cannabinoids, every blood vessel, every arterial blood vessel in your body has CB1 receptors on it.
Hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
every one. And every blood vessel, and in the gut, it's more CB2 receptors. But my point is that they all have cannabinoid receptors. And those receptors, because of stress, are all those arterioles, all those blood vessels are constricted all the time. They're always constricted. We live in a fight or flight world, right? We do. Just like I said in the beginning, you can go out to the 7-Eleven at 10 o'clock at night. You're not supposed to be able to do that, but we
Right.
can't. we can do so many different things today that just weren't part of our normal environmental changes and the way
Right.
that we developed. And so CBD helps relax all those blood vessels. And that's why it affects the whole body. You say, well, how come it affects the foot and the head? And it's, well, targeted drugs affect only one area, one receptor. That's
Right.
what they do. They hone in on one receptor, they make it work, but they don't do anything else for the rest of them. The endocannabinoid system is body wide. So it's not targeting the problem of swelling in the ear. It's going to target all the receptors in the whole body.
Sure.
All the time. And so the endocannabinoid system is so responsive to cannabinoid too. When you take it, you're really, really helping the blood vessels of your body to relax and sort of get their full diameter, so that you can get better blood flow. You want the full, but you don't want partial diameter blood flow in the brain, right? I mean, you want full thing. Stroke's a big deal. And so you want to have that full relax, and it doesn't take much to do that. It doesn't take 2 or 3 dropper fulls or anything like that. So does that help you guys at all?
Absolutely. Well, because yeah, go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead.
I did have kind of a thought, now I wanted to take a couple steps back from when Drew was saying, some people are like, well, I took a drop and I don't feel nothing. I don't feel nothing. I took it for a week. I don't feel nothing. My question, I guess, to see if my thought process is right, is that because the body might be so depleted that it's trying to build up? Is that because I didn't feel anything like really like concrete for about 3 weeks. I mean, I could feel it, but at week 3, I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I'm
really
digging
good way to put that. Yeah, that's excellent, because what happens is this is a supplement not controlled by prescriptions. Prescriptions are targeted to work on a specific area quickly. And generally though, think about Humira. How many people are on Humira for life? They're not on Humira for part-time. They're on it for life, okay? Because they have to affect the whole bone marrow system.
Right.
Yes.
The endocannabinoid system is body-wide, and stress depletes the endocannabinoids very quickly. It runs them out, and your body can't keep up. So you have to supplement. Generally speaking, you have to supplement CBD cannabinoid for a long term. You can't do it. You can't expect results with a supplement. Now, if you want to take a gallon of this, you might get a result pretty quick.
Right.
But it's not the way you do it, right? Guys, all the research, just to let you know, all the research in this stuff in this area is done on oil-based CBD cannabinoids that in heavy dosages. So all the research is in heavy dosages. And so with Zilis, you're talking about 3-5 milligrams, very, very light dosages of a water-soluble product that once it hits the cell membrane, it dissolves and penetrates that cell membrane very quickly.
Right.
When you have
because of the
go ahead.
And that's because it is water-based, correct?
Yeah, it's water-based. It's water and water. The cells want to protect themselves, right, against harmful things. So they have a shield around them, the cell membrane, and that shield prevents anything from getting in there that can be harmful. And so you can take certain and just to let you know, cannabinoids too are best taken in the morning when you had breakfast to get the maximum absorbability. Take them with food, generally speaking. And when you get up in the morning, you can take CBD or you can take ultracell technology. That's the best time. Vibe is another product Zilis has. That's great technology.
Amazing.
But it's best taken in the morning. Anandamide can get you roused up. Anandamide is the chemical that the brain produces. And that anandamide is for you to be alert. It's for you to be on guard. It's to protect you. And so when you have a depleted endocannabinoid system, your defense mechanisms are not real good. Your immune system's down, meaning let me rephrase that. Your immune system, generally speaking, everybody's immune system is ramped up.
Right.
It's too high. Our immune systems, all of us have an overactive immune system because of the world we live in. We're just in this intense world. And so our immune system doesn't go down, it goes up. You guys know this. You guys are, you got a cancer and Rocco, what did you say?
I've had so many, my gut health, my bones, everything else.
Major accidents, you know?
Yeah.
And major cancer and
TBI.
Yeah. And you want that, but you want that immune system to be balanced. You don't want it to be overactive. And it generally isn't underactive. But you don't want it to be overactive because that creates autoimmune diseases.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
So that's another reason why.
I wasn't aware of that though.
Yeah, it's an overactive immune system. That's basically, and there's genetic problems with autoimmune diseases, but also they're environmental. There's two problems.
Oh, sure.
With that. But this point is, if you have if your immune system is which it is for everybody, is out of whack, CBD helps dilate those blood vessels, helps settle the system down, allows the immune system to get even. And that's what, again, we haven't talked about other cannabinoids like CBG. CBG is a CB2 focused cannabinoid. And the CB2 receptors are pretty much on the gut. They're also throughout the body, but they're found around the abdominal area and the reproductive system, things like that. And that system also needs to be balanced.
Yeah.
It can be really, really out of whack for a lot of people. So CBG is a good way to bring that into balance too. But they don't work quickly because you got a body-wide system.
Sure.
Right.
And that's what I tell people all the time is that you can't, that the biggest question is, when do I feel something? I always have to tell them, it took me 3 weeks to realize. I felt within a couple of hours, because when you're on chemo and your body starts draining down towards the end of the day, right? And I took my first dropper of CBD, which was the Ultracell, and I didn't fall off. It was 2 hours later, I was still kind of like, I'm like, man, I'm never this awake. But that wasn't a euphoria. That was just it charged me up. And this is way in the beginning before I learned anything. And so, but that's what I tell people is that it took me 3.5 weeks to realize my chronic pain was not as what it was.
Oh yeah.
It took almost 3.5 weeks.
Yeah. It's not going to smack you in the face.
Sure.
Now, some people I've had it's done that with is smack them and they go, "Hey, man, I just feel better." Well, okay. I'm not concerned about today as much as I am 3-4 months from now.
Right.
The issue is to be able to balance that endocannabinoid system over your lifetime, not for a day or two or a week. I mean, it's all good, but your chronic pain that you're experiencing from this will just get better. You'll just feel better. Your energy level will go up, and most people that I treat, that's the first thing they talk about is, I just have so much more energy. I'm out.
That's true statement.
And, this guy I was talking to you about, he's a fixer. He can fix anything. However, he's can't fix anything. Right. But he can fix anything. And so he was tired of not being able to fix stuff. He was just sitting around and he wanted to fix his fence and he just didn't have the energy for that. And there's no reason. That's another thing. Don't let people tell you that as you get older, you don't have any energy. You got the same energy you had when you were 15. But what happens is that you get depleted. Your endocannabinoid system gets run out. So that's another reason why you supplement with it. Kids don't really need as much. They don't need as much CBD as you you guys do.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
And but kids can use it, and kids that have like autism and things like that.
Yes.
We have some remarkable
My son.
comments about that. Yes, I mean, just that they're and the reason I think is, and again, I'm there's not a lot of there's research on this. There's a lot of research on it. Okay, but
Yeah.
it needs to be more. But when the brain is developing, when it's growing, when it's enhancing itself, to me, that is the time when you give CBD or you
That
have,
makes total
you have
sense,
people
though.
take it because the brain is
Sure.
it's really ready to grow and,
Mhm.
you don't have to work from the backside like we're doing.
Right.
Work from the front side. So I think it's a great thing for everybody. Everybody needs to take it. My wife and I say that all the time. How come everybody doesn't take this?
Yeah.
Right.
And we
I've said the
we
same
get
thing.
Take this.
all the time. Yeah. Let's so you kind of segued into the getting the body to relax and re-energize, like get better. Hence, the best time we do that is when we're lights out, right?
Sleep.
When we're snoring. Talk to us about CBN R&R and how did you stumble upon, or how did you figure out that CBN during your sleep and your wake cycles? Because it also talks about during your wake cycles it keeps you up. Obviously that's the CBN going on in there. But when it's time for you to lights out, how does CBN and R&R itself do what it's designed to do? Can you elaborate on that?
That's a really good question, because the idea is that anandamide, in the morning is going at a peak level when you wake up in the morning, and it gets going, and that's what gets you going. So
Mhm.
how does CBN slow you down in the
Right.
evening? How does it slow you down? Well, there's in the endocannabinoid, in all cannabinoids, there's a little bit of difference between CBN and CBD. There's a little bit of difference in that molecule, and that molecule in CBN is very much like THC, very much like it. They're very, very close to each other. And what CBN is used to be, it's not anymore from Zilis, but it used to be degraded cannabis. That's what makes CBN. They would have cannabis that would just be thrown away in a corner somewhere, and then they broke it down. They said, well, there's this molecule in it called CBN, and that was on early 60s.
Wow.
that was discovered. However,
Okay.
it was not taken serious because they were looking for THC and they were looking for CBD. They weren't looking for CBD in the beginning. They were looking at why does THC make you high? Why does that work? Why do people get high with THC? And so that led to more research, and they discovered CBN very early on, but it wasn't easy to get. It is.
Sure.
It's not easily made or used, so they just sort of pushed it aside. And when you have a technology, a company like Zilis that comes along that can make CBN in a water soluble format, and what CBN does differently is that in a receptor, in a CB1 receptor, there are different points of contact all the way around it.
Mhm.
Okay, just all the way around it. Think of it like a basketball with spikes on it, and there are
Okay.
different points of contact. And CBN acts on a different point of contact than THC. It doesn't act on the same contact. It acts
Okay.
on a different point of contact and creates a different response. So, for example, we all want that vasodilation. We want those arteries to relax, but we don't want to be a couch potato with it.
Right.
We
Exactly.
don't. The CB1 receptors with THC, it locks on them.
Oh yeah, and it's like you're just
it won't
zombie.
let it go. What
Yeah.
CBN does, it will touch a different point of contact on that basketball, and it lets go. So it'll it'll do its thing, and then what'll happen is it'll let go of that receptor. It won't hang on to it so long. So what happens is that the euphoria doesn't happen.
Oh,
with CB1.
Okay.
Now you'll feel somewhat better, but you won't feel euphoric because that CB1 receptor is now able to do something else. It's not locked on. THC ties them up, and it doesn't allow, and that's why THC will hang around for hours and hours and hours.
Right.
Because it hangs around those CB1 receptors, and you have to make new receptors to get rid of it. And that's not a quick process.
No, it's not.
Anybody's taking THC knows it hangs around several hours, and then the next thing you know, it's okay, but it's not going to kill you. First of all, let's make that clear. THC is not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to do anything like that, and neither will these other cannabinoids. There's no deaths or injury occur with CBD or CBN or anything like that. Matter of fact, the research I just read, it was, they put a boatload of this stuff, and they do it all on mice, that kind of stuff. But there's no negative consequences to taking cannabinoids. Now, now you can't take them. Zilis is so unique. It just has this formulation that doesn't take much to get the response.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
They say that the dropper on the R&R, I use a full dropper. I didn't read the instructions because they said because it's a smaller bottle. Like you don't need a lot, and I didn't realize that it says just take a half a dropper. I'm taking a full dropper, and this is the best sleep I'm getting, Jackson. I'm not gonna lie.
He's filmed out.
I mean, but I don't feel, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Doc. But the Ambien days are long gone now, right? Because that's the only way. My dreams, and ultracell. I hadn't had a dream since being on just a regular ultracell. Let me make that clear. But being on the R&R, I don't even remember falling asleep now. And on Dream, you kind of knew it, but with Dream, when you woke up, I was kind of up and I was having a hard time going back to sleep. Right? With R&R, I go to the bathroom, I go back down, and it's lights out. I mean, just down. And then when it's time to get up, like when the alarm goes off, it's like, let's roll.
Well, Nitro, you and Rocco, how early do you take that R&R and Dream combination before you go to bed? What's your
I don't take Dream anymore, but I take R&R about an hour before I go to bed. Okay.
And do you start feeling groggy at that hour? Or you just what do you feel? What do you when you're sleepy, you're sort of in and out of it.
Like super relaxed or what?
I am. I would say relaxed, but not like drooling, like not THC relaxed. But I'm just sitting there, and when I can sit and watch, like if I'm watching a show, my girlfriend or racing, because when I watch racing, my endorphins are going because that's just what I do, right? But when I take R&R and I'm watching it, when it's over with, it's almost like when I say, okay, we're ready to go lay down. I'm relaxed the whole time. But it's almost like I can say it's time to go lay down. 4 or 5 minutes later, it's lights out. But if I needed to stay up, if I stayed up much longer, I could probably start feeling the whole, man, it's time to lay down,
I'm
but
cheapy.
It's like it's not like it's so mellow. Of course, I take it with the vibe. I take my vibe in the morning, right? Yes. And I take the R&R at night, and I mean, I just cannot believe how. And I snore, unfortunately.
Yeah, you do.
Right, but I don't remember anything. I don't. It's such a nice sleep. If I have to wake up because of my size and my nerves and my back, and sometimes my hands will get numb or whatever, and I'll roll over, but it doesn't keep me up. Like, I don't stay up from anything. Like, if I got to get up and move, I'm out. It puts me right back down.
Wow, that's a great. And now, and some people will get that response with R&R. Some people, though, because the endocannabinoid system is individualized. Okay, it's we all have a different level of endocannabinoid response. Some people may keep them awake, so they may take it and they may go, wow, I couldn't go to sleep with it. And that's because of the fact that their endocannabinoid system is not the same. It's not exactly the same as the person that had your response. For example, you have a different, your endocannabinoid system, and particularly in the brain, the connections are different for everybody. That's why we're all individuals. We're all different. And so some people, cannabinoids are amazing because they're very independent. And we call that in science, we call that homing. What that means is that when you take cannabinoids, they home into the site of injury.
Sure.
Okay, they find it. And that's a remarkable thing. Nothing else can do that. So for example, they've done rat studies where they will put cannabinoids in. Let's say they break a leg, and they'll put cannabinoids, and they'll see that cannabinoid, that CBD, trace along to find that broken leg in the bloodstream. And so they'll track it, and they'll see it get into the reparative mode of fixing the broken leg. And that's just an example, but that's real. And in the cannabinoid world, that's called homing. There's nothing else that homes in that can home into a site of injury and work on that injury.
Is that is that why I had a skin cancer removed from my right, the outside of my right leg, right? And they had to go, it was about the size of a $50, maybe a little bit larger, but it was down about 3/4 of an inch deep, right? And obviously on the side of the leg, you can't squeeze the skin together and suture it up. It was an open wound. And I was on Zilis at the time, and the doctor said, "Hey, do you want to? Are you going to want a pain med for this?" I said, "No, I'm going to use CBD." And I would take the ultracell, and I dropped it, and then I put a bandage over it. And what they said would take about 6 to 8 weeks to actually fully heal. In 3 weeks, it was already starting to kind of scab over a little bit. Is that kind of what I mean? That that direct contact, is that what you're alluding to?
Yeah, just think about inflammation. That when you have an injury, when you have inflammation, you have swelling in the area, right? Then you have different cells that come in the area and start healing it. And CBD helps facilitate. It helps those cells to do their job for healing. It helps when you have an injury, whether it be an open injury like a cut or a physical injury where you're hurt inside, like let's say a mental injury, a mental health injury, like we're talking about PTSD. Though they take time to heal, but CBD can find that injury. So you're not looking at it, just like you said, you put it on a wound where you topically put it on a wound because it didn't need any help to find that wound. It's there. But when you have these hidden injuries, or you have these internal quiet injuries like mental health injuries, nobody can see on the outside that damage, right? There's no wound there for people to see. So as far as we know, you're okay, right? What CBD can do is cannabinoids can find that injury better than anything that's ever been able to be out there. That's why you see people take it and they feel better. They don't know why they're better.
Right.
They don't understand. That's why people, when it became legal in 2018, they said, well, I'm going to buy this, see if it works. Well, it works. And then you have all kinds of people now buying it, different brands and all that. But my point is that it finds the source of the injury. You just got to give it time, guys, because it can't go to the, and I use the brain as an example. It can't go to the brain and just fix it tomorrow.
Yeah, it don't
Right.
work that way.
The brain
That's
has
like trying to fill the Grand Canyon a shot glass at a time. You know?
Yeah.
exactly. You can't do that. It takes time for the brain, for the neurogenesis, the healing process to go on in the brain. It takes time, even if you weren't injured, for it to to create its own health. So you really are giving it something that you're giving the brain food, lack of a better word.
That makes sense.
It's a food
Yeah.
that the brain wants, that it needs, because the brain, the body, the gut, the brain, the whole body makes endocannabinoids. I mean, we make this stuff naturally. And so, but we can't keep up. There's just no way today, in today's world, that we can keep up with the onslaught of stressors that have come at us. Think about, Rocco, were you in a motorcycle accident, right? Really hurt bad, okay? With the exception of falling off a horse or something, that injury would have never occurred,
Right.
100 years ago. I mean, it just wouldn't have happened. So that kind of injury takes a very special technology, very special way to make that work. And that's what cannabinoids do. They help in that way that's never before you've been able to help that way.
And it did
Is
help.
that, is that why the R&R is, I don't know how popular it is. I think it's a newer product in a sense, but is that what makes R&R so like another valuable, or like one of the more valuable pieces of this system, because it is working when you are sleeping? It is a CBD or CBN, and if you have stuff going on that is obviously different than what Vibe's going to work on and what have you not, was that the key behind figuring out, or what was the key of finding out about the sleep cycle with the CBN being, I don't know, how can I say it, but very, not potent, but what's
Efficient.
the word? Like, yeah,
Efficient.
it is efficient. There, yeah, that's the word.
Well, every night, we go through different cycles, different sleep cycles, right? We have we have 4 stages of sleep that we go through, and we go through stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. Some people say 5. That's REM sleep. You start off on your light sleep, and that's when the brain starts when you're sliding out of light sleep into deep sleep. The brain's starting to clean itself up for the next day. So the brain needs this sleep. It's not like you can just say, well, I just ignore this sleep thing. I'm just going to get 4 or 5 hours sleep a night forever. That just ain't going to work. So the body reacts eventually the body breaks down from that. But when you go through these sleep cycles, you want to have as easy a transition from one sleep cycle to the next. You lay down at 10 o'clock, let's say, you get up at 4, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and you don't want that to be interrupted. And what happens is that when you don't have, when you have the wrong type of chemicals that are in the brain that stay there, then they affect your sleep cycles.
Sure.
And so you don't know, like, if you drink, let's say you drink a power drink that's full of whatever. Many of those chemicals stay in the brain a long time. So,
right.
And they can't get out. And you want the brain to cleanse itself. So what happens and CBN helps that process along. It helps the cannabinoid. It creates this cleansing process at night. It allows the brain to sort of ramp up and go, okay, I got to turn the washing machine on tonight. I got to clean out the brain tonight. I got to do it every night, and you got to do it 2 or 3 times a night. That's why when you go to bed at night and you're anxious, or you're worried about something, or you have a racing mind, anandamide, the chemical that helps you get ready for the next day, go down. It doesn't happen. You don't produce it. So you get anxious, you get stressed with that. And CBN helps facilitate that anandamide in the evening on the right part of the basketball, on the right, hits the right receptor. It
Sure.
turns, like when you walk in
Sure.
a room, you want to turn the on off button on, you know where it is, right? You're going to flip it on, flip it off. That's what CBN does. It particularly works on that receptor in the evening for sleep. Now, not everybody's the same. Some people will take CBN and it'll keep them awake. Well,
Sure.
that's not always a bad thing. You just need to know you got to cut back maybe to a dose or two, or sometimes you change cannabinoids. Sometimes sometimes you just take CBD in the morning. Don't generally take it at night because it does ramp up your
Mm-hmm.
your energy level. But CBN doesn't do
Right.
that. It downplays that activity, I guess you could say. Does that make sense?
And yeah, no, it absolutely
Absolutely.
does, because when you talk PTSD, and Chuck and I talk about this together a lot on our podcast, and we have, the big concern is the PTSD and sleep, and people that have nightmares. Like I had the nightmares too. Chuck's had the nightmares, and I have, every now and then I have a dream, but it's a dream about, like, believe it or not, it's either like working on the race car or something that's of good stuff, but not any of that nightmare stuff that I used to have. And when you talk PTSD, that this is kind of between CBD in the morning through the day to keep everything kind of calmed down and manageable, and you take CBN at night, we're actually kind of getting ahead of the filling up the brain, and we can keep cleaning it out, and that's what's subsiding
Right.
it. So, and that's the thing, PTSD is, people want this to stop. And
Right.
I interpret that. Chuck and I had a long discussion one time on one of our podcasts. In fact, it was just recent over there. It was Suicide Prevention Month
Yeah.
over, and we were at the American Legion doing our podcast, and people that commit suicide want this to stop. It doesn't matter what the trigger is. It doesn't matter where it came from. Doesn't necessarily have to be combat. It could be bullying. It could be this or that. But if we can get this to calm down, where the brain can work naturally to allow you to go, you ain't going. I got control now, right?
That's it. That's it.
And I think so. So I interpret R&R and reading about the cannabinol and how it works during the sleep cycle. This is a major factor in how we can get people to understand that we have the way to help work with your PTSD if you just have the patience to believe in it. What say you about that?
Well, I think that everybody, PTSD, and again, I'm not an expert in PTSD. I'm in the sleep world from that.
Mhm.
But however, PTSD, from what I can gather, and you guys have been around a lot of people with those issues, they get so frazzled, right? Very, very quickly. And the endocannabinoid system helps tone that down. It helps slow that down. So that's why cannabinoids are so important, to be able to have somebody has a racing mind, is to take cannabinoids. Yeah, that it will help them. That's why THC is so popular, right? Because it helps slow people down at night to go to sleep. It does help. But you can't go around euphoric all the time. You can't operate.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you can't operate that way. So that's where CBN comes. It's a very close cousin to THC. Very, very close. It's a cousin. And it doesn't have the euphoria part of it because it lets go of the receptor.
Gotcha.
Okay, it lets go. It doesn't hang on all night. It doesn't hang on for 3 or 4 hours.
Exactly.
It lets go. It does its thing. It stops the response. It dilates the blood vessels. It allows things to relax. And then it just sort of goes away. It doesn't, it doesn't have crab claws. It hangs on and hangs on. And
Right.
hangs on.
It just lets you start healing up.
It just lets you guys, what happens is you make more receptors. You make them every day. You don't have a set amount that you have. You make new CB1 receptors every single day. Every single day you make 2 new CB2 receptors. Every day we regenerate ourselves. So you have to give the body a way to be able to do that, because when we're stressed, when we have this undue pressure that's coming on, this racing mind that won't stop, there's nothing to slow it down except a narcotic on the short term, or an opioid on the short term, or an Ambien on the short term. Those are all short term answers for that. Where cannabinoids fit into this is that once somebody maintains themselves on CBD or on CBN for a long period of time, it starts affecting the overall endocannabinoids, which is a body-wide system. So
Right.
your folks that have PTSD, patience is not something somebody with PTSD has, I don't think. So, but they got to be patient about this, because they didn't get hurt quickly, right? Unless it was a traumatic experience. Like, I was around some things in the military that, not for me personally, but for the troops that I was with, they experienced some pretty significant things. But the issue with PTSD is that you have to slow that racing mind down. Am I right or wrong in that?
Yes. Yeah.
People that have PTSD, explain to me a little bit about what you guys understand about that, because I'm a sleep specialist. I'm for PTSD.
Chuck, I don't know about the biggest thing. And real quick, Chuck and I have talked about exactly that, because everybody that says PTSD, and Chuck brought up a good point on one of our conversations. Yeah, it just depends on what a person considers what is PTSD. Let's start there. All right, and for anybody that's watching, we've always said this is just our interpretation of it, because there is a cognitive point where you still have to have control of how you react to certain things. When I teach jujitsu, the art of Bushido was always calm, and we don't react to the way something's coming at us. You can't control what your mind does. You can't control what other people do. You can't control the triggers. You can't control any of that stuff, but you can control how you react.
Exactly.
Right? And you may need some help controlling how you react, so that you i.e. medicines and CBD or what have you not. But PTSD, that I have been around veterans that talk about it, or people that talk about it, it's a very hard line to draw, whether it's something really traumatic or it's just a crutch for something. And I don't mean to disregard anybody, but you do have those people that kind of use the system, saying I have PTSD because of this, and really don't show the science, right? Because when someone's got PTSD by the way they react to things without saying anything, right? Their visual movements over just saying something. That banana, I don't know why that banana reminds me of an M16 clip or a drum, but I'm just triggered by that banana. Okay, let's understand something here. Okay, no one threw a drum of rounds at you and it looked like a banana coming at you, and now you got a problem. However, the silent ones, right? The silent ones
that don't say anything.
That show signs of irritability. Bubba Sauter, and not to drag this out, Dr. Todd, but Bubba Sauter, he's our brother. He's my teammate. My race car's at his shop. He's part of our family, and he is a person that talks about his anxiety, right? And he was quiet. He didn't tell anybody, and he went radio silence for a long time. Those are the ones that have something that goes on, that they just it gets their mind wrapped up, and they need that break, right? Most of the PTSD people that I've been around, come veterans or what have you not, have truly had that traumatic event where they don't talk about it, but they'll avoid situations that may remind them of some, whether it's good or bad. It's their brain starts going, okay, all right, where are you going? I can't do that. So being on CBD myself, Chuck and I constantly talk about what do we see different in our minds as we're taking this stuff. The sleep is the biggest thing, so that they don't wake up rerunning everything that was going through their mind when they were trying to sleep.
Right.
if that makes sense. So that's the biggest, and so they just wanted to stop, and hence
Well,
that's why we have.
I think, Nitro, I think there are a couple of things with Zilis that, again, one of the products that I use all the time is Dream. And I use that because it's a water soluble melatonin. And melatonin is an antioxidant as well.
Oh, okay.
And so it is a major antioxidant in our body. And if you don't sleep or you have a sleeping issue, you don't produce it or you don't produce enough of it. And so what happens is people don't have the cleansing or the antioxidant of melatonin to get into the system to clean it out to help flush it. So that's why Dream is important also to be able to supplement the melatonin with that. And well, we'll talk about that a little bit, because when you take melatonin as a supplement and let's say you take it as a pill or a powder, it goes to the tummy and you don't know what you've just taken. You don't know if you're going to get 5 or 10. You don't know. And when people don't get reactions, they take more. They don't take less. When people don't get a reaction to Zilis, CBD, or they'll take more. They just take more.
Right.
They just need to stay with the same dosage in this technology. Just stay. Now you can increase it a few drops here and there, but you don't need to take a boatload of it.
Sure. You know, and John Falkenberg, he's one of our veterans over at the Legion, and he just jumped in the chat because he's listening. He says some of the signs for his PTSD are harder to see. He's good most of the time, but bright flashes or an unexpected bang noise, I don't like that. And I can relate to that too, because when I got back, I was on the road all the time driving my SAR Major, right? And after a couple IED blasts and some things that we went through, I didn't drive. I always drove. If it was 3 lanes, I was in the center. Unbeknownst that I was doing it, I drove in the center lane. And I got asked, why don't you ever drive? You know, and then it makes me go, well, this is because of this and because of that. 4th of July. 4th of July, when the fireworks would go off, Chuck, you and I have been down that road too.
Together.
4th of July yes. And we had to like, wait, this is enough. And it's not an excuse. It's not it's weird how you go from everything being fine to things like that.
Just totally
you're just
shit out
right.
of
And it, but you can't come off that fast. That those triggers don't, and that's why I tell people, like you said, Doc, you have to take it, and I'm glad you said it too, because consistency and belief in the science over time. You can't take, which the 7 days at least is kind of
it's a good way to start, but it's not
yeah.
going to impact you. It's not, your endocannabinoid system is not going to be impacted by that in 7 days. It's going to be somewhat affected, but not anything like your the whole endocannabinoid system over time. Guys, these stressors that we have and PTSDs, I have a son that was with you guys in Iraq and all that stuff, and he was part of the surge. And he was the surge. He was one of them that had to do the surge, and it really bothered him. And it wasn't anything that well, it was serious things that he had to do. But my point is, he was a happy-go-lucky kid, but he couldn't blow that off. He couldn't do that anymore. So the PTSD that he dealt with, the same thing. And Zilis helped get over that hump.
Yep.
Okay. He took it. He did what I asked him to do, and he got better. And so my point, and he's still under the care of the VA for PTSD and that kind of stuff, as you guys know well about that. But the point is, this is why what you guys are doing is so important, because the VA doesn't recognize, or the government doesn't recognize CBD or cannabinoids as being a part of the treatment. They just don't. They need to, but they don't. And that's going to come with time. It's not going to come quickly because the government has to change. But you guys are at the forefront of that. You guys are trying to change that mindset, and I commend you for it, because it is.
Oh, thank you.
It's the largest healthcare system in the world, as we mentioned, and so to change a moving ship, a giant ship, to change the road, it takes.
Yeah. It does.
You gotta be a rock. You gotta be a rock in the ocean, baby. That's what we're doing.
What you are. Yeah, you guys are the rocks in the ocean.
We're trying. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're trying to get a case study done.
It's baby steps. You got to take it
Yep.
one step at a time, and maybe be outside the system, not within the system to
Absolutely.
help the system. Because if you're within the system, and they'll tell you, you don't. I just had my physical at the VA. I went and had your annual biannual checkup. You have to face-to-face type thing, right? And so the lady, I had to do a urine test for all this opioids and cannabinoids show up in that urine test. It's not a bad thing. They don't make a deal about it. My point is, but it will show up in a urine test. It will show up. It's not a bad thing. It's just there. So my point is that the VA doesn't make a big deal about it at all. It's not a down thing. But my point is that anybody that wants to take these, that is a veteran, the VA is not going to chastise you about that. They're not going to throw you out of the system. Yep. They're not going to beat you up about it. They're just not their protocol.
Yeah,
but they don't have anything against it technically, So my point is that veterans need to take CBD. They need to take it every single day, and sometimes twice a day, because you want that dilation of the blood vessels in the brain. You want to relax.
Right.
You want them to settle down.
Yeah.
And if you hit or miss it, then the day you have a trigger is a little bit late.
Too late,
Yeah.
exactly.
Be on it. And when you feel a trigger, guys, up the dosage a little bit. When you feel it, you'll have what's called a prodrome, or a feeling that something's going to go on.
Almost like an anxiety kind of thing.
Yeah, you already know my anxiety's going up, and I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Like something's happening here. That's when the guys need to sort of increase their dosage a little bit. Need to be on it all the time. But if you still feel that anxious moment coming, or that feeling of anxiety that's coming at you, because it's coming.
Sure.
Up the dosage a little bit. It won't hurt you. I mean, it's going to help settle you down. It's going to help.
Way cool.
It's going to help stop that onslaught of PTSD that just takes you out.
Sure.
Right.
It just takes you out of the whole scenario. But you got to learn how to do this. It's not going to be
right.
It's not something that you can just I'll just take the 3 or 4 drops when I need it. How do you know when you need it? Because you need it every day.
You never know.
Yeah, every day. Exactly.
And I think that's important. Important that you said that, Doc. And I think as we're getting on our time here. But real quick, just to let you know, in all the urinalysis that I've taken on the ultrasound, my urinalysis have come up clean. So. But it's different people, right? So different things, different people. But Chuck, I know I know that we're getting there on our time, but I can't.
I got to be at.
Yeah, I can't say enough, Doc. What this was so important for people to hear. That as they go back and watch this, they have a lot more insight. I've learned a whole bunch tonight. So. But
guys, I want the veterans to take away that it's okay to take CBD. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's okay.
It's okay to take cannabinoids. There's nothing wrong. It's not going to hurt you. It's okay. So don't you guys are leading this pack, okay? And you need to be committed for that, because you still have to send that message out. It's okay to take cannabinoids. There's nothing, there's no downside to it.
Yeah.
The difference is there is a downside if you don't take them, because this thing's going to smack you in the face.
It's going to keep coming. Yeah. And Mark O'Donnell, who is my one of my directors for Relief for Troops says, thank you, Dr. Todd, for the information.
Thank you, guys.
But Doc, we are going to have you on again. We are going to do this again because I really think, yeah, I think there's many more products that we can talk about where you can kind of narrow down, because certain people do come and say, well, what if I only need this, or what if I only need that? I think we still have those questions, and I think we can actually have an episode where we might hit on one or two of those. But Doc, thank you again for allowing us to be in your time tonight. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for your service and being on the board of Zilis and for helping guide the company in these amazing products that they're going to continue to formulate and get better at. I know guys like us, like myself, we can't. You guys change our lives, and you know it, but out here on this side, real quick, Chuck and I were talking about it. $9 million over the years that I've had to take chemo is what we're saving the VA because of one bottle of Zilis. So like you said, what's it worth? So what's it worth to you?
Zilis there's some tremendous technology coming out. There's cutting edge stuff coming out. So
we got the inside dig right there.
There's other technology that's going to be launched, and but it's to let you guys know, it's not cheap to produce or manufacture high quality, technically efficient products. It's just not, guys. So if you think there's a cheap way out on this, there's not.
There's not. No.
Way out. It's just not. But there are some wonderful technologies, wonderful products, different types of products that are going to be on the market, and they're really game changers. We'll talk more about that later.
Man, we're excited to see that.
So I just had one quick question before I got to get going. Doc, I have your number. If there's any ever questions, if I'm talking to somebody about that, talking to somebody about Zilis and they have a question that I can't answer, because I do, believe it or not, I really do sit back and I kind of try to read things and try to learn things. That way, when I'm talking to somebody, I can give them the good information. It's just like selling cars. I can't sell you a car if I don't know anything about it.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So I want to be able to, and I know that's a bad comparison. I'm not really trying to sell Zilis, right? I'm trying to give them an opportunity to feel better every day.
Well, Rocco,
right?
But I think you are trying, guys, don't step away from that. You're trying to sell them the best technology in the world so they can open up their eyes and see what can help them.
Right.
It's not a soft shoe dance here.
Right.
Real life threatening issues that affect people. So you're okay by you can call me or text me with a question.
Yeah.
I'm okay with all that. But I just want to let you guys know, don't sidestep the issue. The issue is veterans need to know that CBD, particularly Zilis CBD, is a unique and fascinating technology. And it's not everybody that has that. We're the only ones.
Yeah. And like you just said too, and I'll segue out of this one. Relief for Troops raises money. We want to raise money. We're waiting for our first 22 bottles to get here so we can hand this out to veterans for free. This is where we have 22 bottles on the way here of 15 day, where we're going to have an event where we hand out this product for free. And that's why we're different. So on that note, Doc, you guys are a part of something down here that we're going to bring to you. You guys really don't understand yet. And
don't know.
There's a lot more to come. So
we can just help people. That's what we want to do. So that's the goal.
I do want to say one thing though before I dip out. Doc, it was definitely a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, thank
you.
And
I want to personally welcome you to the Gearheads and Guardians family.
Yes.
You're amazing, brother. And I have Doc Emily, and now I got Doc you. So I'm set. I got all the tools I need, I think. So
We're gonna live forever.
you're the best, Doc. You're the best. I really do appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys. We can hopefully make a difference.
Absolutely, Dr. Todd. Again, wish you all the best of luck in your practice there,
Thank you.
and we will be talking to you very, very soon.
And there he goes.
That's
So maybe
okay.
he's trying to hurry up and get back so he can talk to you again real soon. But anyway, Doc, it was definitely a pleasure, brother. God bless you for everything you do to help us out, and for
Apparently,
the
I
future to come too. I'm sure we'll have a lot of great things in conjunction with you in the future as well.
Well, guys, just to let you know, your job, your task of helping these veterans is very, very special. So don't underestimate what you're doing to help people. You're very, very special in what you do. And
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
have me on. Thank you so much.
And if there's anything that we can do for you, when you let us know, we're all there.
Thank you so much. We'll talk again.
All right.
Thanks,
well,
Doc.
God bless you, sir.
Bye-bye.
So on that note, everybody, again, 988. You just had an hour and a half of how we can help you on a very scientific and doctor level, if you will. But if you still need those questions answered, dial 988. Take care of yourself. Don't do something that we're all going to regret. We're here to help.
Change it either, And we need you. We need you to help other folks. So don't go leaving the fight because, well, we need you in the fight.
That's right. Rocco, this was a good one. Sorry we went over, but I think look, amazing. This is an amazing one.
That was good. We got a lot of good insights, and just like I said, I was saying, it's another tool in our pocket, to when somebody says something. Oh no. That's not what Dr. Todd said.
It's not it. Go back and watch episode 41 again. Learn yourself.
41. So listen,
right,
God bless you, man. It was definitely a pleasure hanging out with you again. Don't forget this Thursday, Halloween night, trunk or treat at the American Legion, Seguin, post 245. We'll see you there, guys.
Be there. Rocco, it was good seeing you, man.
Nitro, God bless you, man. You take care of yourself.
We'll talk to you later. You too, buddy.
God bless.
Cool.
Later. Okay, is it going to end?